Welcome back to the channel. Today we step beyond myth and history into the stone heart of a lost empire. This is the story of the Khmer king who dared to build forever. A ruler who didn't just reign, he inscribed himself into the cosmos. If this is your kind of thing, please remember to like and subscribe. Every little bit helps a small channel like ours grow, so we can keep bringing you stories the world forgot. The crown, claimed by blood. Before Angkor Wat touched the sky, the Khmer court was a crucible of ambition and betrayal. Power didn't pass gently. It was seized like a weapon. And in this cauldron of political chaos rose a young prince named Suryavarman. He didn't wait for succession. He hunted it down. Ancient inscriptions tell us that he personally killed a rival claimant, a bloody rite of passage in the age of iron and incense. And then, with chilling clarity, he mounted an elephant and rode triumphantly to the capital. Not as a candidate, but as a conqueror. He wasn't asking for a crown. He was announcing he already owned it. A name the gods would remember. His name, Suryavarman, meant protected by the sun. But he didn't just wear the name, he embodied it. From the beginning, he cloaked himself in divine language and solar symbolism. He positioned himself not just as a king chosen by gods, but as one who spoke their will. Southeast Asian kingship was often sacred, but Suryavarman raised the stakes. Rule by divine right wasn't enough. He made it divine fact. Temples, rituals, and public inscriptions merged celestial order with political order, and always placed him in the center. He wasn't just building a kingdom, he was building a mythology, with himself as the axis mundi. The Khmer world at his feet. Under Suryavarman II, the Khmer Empire expanded into one of the most formidable powers in Southeast Asia. His domain stretched from the coasts of the South China Sea across the Mekong Basin and up to the very edges of Pagan and Champa. He didn't just conquer by sword, he conquered by system. Roads were paved, provinces organized, taxes extracted. The scale of administrative sophistication rivaled empires a continent away. His inscriptions mention exact land measurements, bureaucratic ranks, and taxation laws, like an empire micromanaged from the sky. He wasn't a provincial monarch. He was an emperor with spreadsheets carved in stone. Deities, diplomacy, and elephants. At home, he ruled like a god. Abroad, he negotiated like a showman. The king dispatched envoys to the Chinese Song dynasty, sending lavish tribute. He traded with the powerful Chola dynasty of southern India. He gave extravagant gifts to dazzle and intimidate, including a caravan of 200 trained war elephants. To Suryavarman, diplomacy was a performance. Each gesture was calculated, each envoy a flex. He knew that perception was half of power. A king's wealth wasn't just measured in gold or armies, it was measured in who paid attention when he spoke. And Suryavarman made sure the world was listening. Building the world, then came the ultimate project. His masterpiece, his monument. Angkor Wat wasn't simply a temple. It was a blueprint for forever. It was a diagram of the universe, with Mount Meru, the center of Hindu cosmology, rising from its heart, and stone oceans stretching outward in concentric symmetry. He wasn't building for shelter. He was building to rearrange the heavens. Thousands of artisans, masons, dancers, and engineers worked across decades. Elephants hauled sandstone from quarries miles away. Astrologers consulted the stars. Architects translated scripture into geometry. This was not a construction site. It was a sacred factory, assembling belief itself. And in the center stood Suryavarman, not just as patron, but as purpose. The god inside the stone, Angkor Wat, was not made for the people. It wasn't a place of mass worship. It was royal, exclusive, deliberate. Its every corridor whispered about death and divinity. The king's image appeared not as a humble devotee, but as the earthly counterpart to Vishnu himself. He was painted, carved and sculpted into the framework of a cosmic machine. This temple was a tomb, a time capsule, and a theological thesis, all made of stone. He didn't just hope for immortality, he designed it. A war too far. But even gods have ambitions too big for their temples. In the twilight of his reign, Suryavarman set his sights on Champa, a neighboring kingdom that had long been both rival and temptation. He launched a massive campaign, but the results were grim. The war drained his coffers, bloodied his armies, and destabilized the empire's borders. Some believe he died in battle. Others whisper of a quiet return, defeated and diminished. No matter the truth, history went silent. Angkor Wat rose. He fell. The legacy that outlived him, the exact year of his death, remains uncertain. But the legacy, undeniable. Angkor Wat is the largest religious structure on Earth, even today. It dwarfs cathedrals, rivals pyramids, and still mirrors the heavens. Later, Khmer kings built their own temples, turned toward Buddhism, and rewrote rituals, but none could eclipse his vision. No one ever dared to build something so cosmic, so obsessive, so absolutely permanent. The hidden geometry of power. Look closely at Angkor Wat, and you'll see every angle, every axis, every doorway holds meaning. The entire complex aligns with celestial events. The main axis points west, uncommon for Hindu temples, aligning with Vishnu and the setting sun. Its towers sync with equinoxes, solstices, and cardinal directions. This wasn't artistic flourish. It was theology encoded into architecture. Geometry wasn't just form, it was prophecy. The city that moved with the sun. Angkor wasn't just a collection of temples, it was a breathing organism. The Khmer developed one of the most sophisticated water management systems in the ancient world. Canals, moats, and reservoirs, known as barrays, irrigated vast rice fields. Roads mirrored rivers. Urban planning followed spiritual choreography. The city didn't just sit on land, it flowed with it, like veins in a divine body. Stones that sang prayers. Every wall of Angkor Wat tells a story. Giant bas-reliefs span over 600 meters, showing gods and demons churning the ocean of milk, celestial battles, and divine processions. But one face repeats more than any other, the face of Suryavarman II. You'll see him seated in court, towering over generals, marching in triumph. Crowned, eternal, watching. Time versus the God King. Time, of course, does not kneel to kings. Centuries of monsoons cracked the stone. Jungle roots curled around the walls. French explorers stumbled upon it, wide-eyed and sunburnt, and declared it a ruin. Tourists would later call it magnificent, majestic, a must-see. But through every storm, every war, every colonial misstep, the silhouette of the God King remained. He stayed. From colony to icon. In the 19th century, the French rediscovered Angkor and introduced it to the West. It became a symbol not just of lost glory, but of colonial possession. But then something happened. Cambodia reclaimed it. The temple, once royal and remote, became national. It appeared on the Cambodian flag, on currency, on beer labels and postage stamps. Angkor Wat became more than stone. It became identity. The afterlife of empire. Empires fall. That's the rule. But Angkor Wat didn't fall. It transformed. The Khmer Rouge once walked its halls with guns. Monks now light incense in the shadows of its spires. Hollywood flew drones over its courtyards. Poets, painters, TikTokers and scholars all claim a piece. But still it stands. Not untouched, but undefeated. Memory in stone, not script. Suryavarman II left behind no memoir, no speeches, no scrolls. But he gave us something rarer, a physical map of his ambition, a memory too large to read, too sacred to forget. A message so vast it had to be carved across miles of sandstone. His story isn't told in ink. It's told in shadow and light. The final God King. Many kings came after him. Many ruled well. Some ruled long, but none ruled like this. None claimed the stars. None dared to carve infinity. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they didn't have to. He had already done it. Epilogue. Not every king becomes a god. Not every god leaves behind a city. Suryavarman II did both. So the next time someone calls Angkor Wat just a tourist attraction, tell them this. It was a throne for a god king, a spiritual GPS, a kingdom written in stone. And its builder? He wasn't building for us. He was building so time would never forget his name. Suryavarman, the god who built eternity.